Have you ever felt like your sim racing setup is missing something? Well, in 2025, I think we're going to see an explosion potentially of interest in a certain type of brake, because we know how important brakes are for sim racing. And I can tell you from experience, I've just spent a long day sim racing trying some of the world's best sim racing equipment. This is one of the world's best wheels. We've got wheelbases. But these pedals I'm going to tell you about, and this category of pedals, because not so much about the brand, but the category, are going to be real game changers for a lot of people and a massive and sometimes neglected part of the sim racing community. So I'm talking today about hydraulic pedals, and this isn't something I knew a lot about, and I hadn't driven them a lot until I've really spent a lot of time using these ones. These are the Conspit CPP Evo pedals, and they are hydraulic. Now, there's a big war coming in sim racing pedals between active pedals and hydraulic pedals, and I think they might serve two very different markets actually. And what I don't want is someone buying the wrong type of pedal. Now, I use SimuCube active pedals on a set called Evo. Most of my videos are on active pedals, and I've also been doing a lot of Evo on the hydraulic pedals. So firstly, what are hydraulic pedals? Well, these pedals here actually have fluid in them. Like, I'm not joking. They have a master hydraulic cylinder and a slave hydraulic cylinder. And that means when you press the pedal, you're pressing fluid. And that is 99% of the feel of like how, especially road car brakes work. Now, I've raced cars like this one in real life, and you have that sensation of the dynamism in the brake feel. When I was racing, some guy boiled his brakes and almost died. I'm not even exaggerating. There'll be some footage on screen. So the brakes and the fluids and the hydraulics and that sensation of fluid through the brake and then going onto the brake pad and then against the brake disc is something that a lot of us just actually know a lot about, because a lot of us drive road cars all the time. So we're very familiar with it. And I've been thinking for years that maybe the current standard of load cells and elastometers isn't quite representative. I feel like load cells and elastometers, and I've used many great of those sets like the Fanatec V3s, Logitech G Pros, TLCMs, maybe not, but I kind of that level. And now I'm really lucky to use stuff like Moser CRP2s, got some SimNet pedals in, like really high quality sets like that. But they're kind of very digital. I think they're very good for hitting the same brake threshold lap after lap in an esports sense or an endurance sense. And what these hydraulic pedals give you instead is more soul, is more feel. But let's go on and have a look actually, because there's a few pros and actually some cons as well to be aware of with hydraulic pedals. So one of the first things is the sensation of the pedal pushing back at you. And like, it's just so addictive to feel that pedal pushing back at you, and suddenly the car feels alive. Like, it's actually very hard to go back from this sensation where you push, you get pushed back with the, obviously with the fluid. And it's absolutely amazing, and I'm already transfixed here. The other sensation that's interesting is like the difference between kind of initial hard push and then things going soft, and the different feel of the brake as you release it. It's absolutely unbelievable for trail braking, but not just trail braking in like an esports sense, but trail braking in the sense of just manipulating the car. Now, I have a very sensitive relationship with brakes. My background in racing is karting in the UK, in direct drive go-karts, where if you locked up the brakes, you would spin the kart, the engine would cut because it's direct drive, you'd be off in the gravel trap or the grass, you'd need to pick up your kart and drag it back on track to get it started again. And you didn't want to do that. You actually physically couldn't do that too many times in a race because the karts are very heavy. So I had this magical relationship with the brakes in these direct drive karts where you go into a corner and you go right to the threshold of locking up. You even lock up a little bit and you hear this chirping, and then you release the brake and you get through the corner with your kart rotated and on the power, and you're flirting with danger every time. So I have a very sensitive relationship with brakes. That's why I'm pretty obsessed about brakes. That's why I'm obsessed with trying to get hands-on, or feet-on I should say, with the world's best sim racing pedals. And these these particular ones, the CPP Evos, are right up there. But I think this is going to be the same for just good hydraulic pedals above the board. Let me give you an example. On this setup today, I'm using a Mustang, the actual wheel in the GT3 Ford Mustang in real life, basically. It's one of the best wheels in the world. I'm using the Conspit Aries Platinum wheelbase, which is, honestly, I'm not even noticing it. Like, maybe I should pay more attention. I'm not even noticing it. Like, it's not the star of the show. Like, it's doing a good job. Maybe it's doing a great job, but I'm not noticing it at all. I'm not even noticing the wheel. Like, yes, the wheel's amazing, but it's just sort of melted in my hands. What I'm paying a lot of attention to and enjoying is the sensation on the brake. So if you want that engaging, alive feeling on the brakes in certain cars, like road cars, you got to try hydraulic pedals. You just got to try them. Now, I said earlier, I think this is going to serve a neglected part of the sim racing community, and I've noticed there's a bit of a war coming with pedals and sim racing, and it reflects a divide in sim racing. And I was really exposed to this making a lot of Gran Turismo content. Remember Gran Turismo Sport? I was racing in top split daily races literally every day, racing the best drivers in the world. That's how I ended up in the Gran Turismo movie. So that stage of my life, I mean, I was an absolute, essentially kind of esports fiend or competitive sim racing fiend. I wouldn't be seen dead racing on my own. And yet I come here to Assetto Corsa Evo, and Assetto Corsa Evo hasn't launched the game with multiplayer. They've just launched it with single player, and now I'm going around having a lot of fun in a Honda S2000 in single player. And these are two big camps in sim racing. We've seen it come to a head in Gran Turismo 7, where they don't know whether to add tuning or not. The single player crowd like tuning, the esports players absolutely hate it. Assetto Corsa Evo has had to delay the multiplayer because, you know, they've got to work out what their priorities are. This is absolutely insane. And I think the active pedals really cater towards the esports crowd. If you look at the SimuCube active pedals, you can get all these profiles in the SimuCube software from esports drivers, like F1 drivers, esports drivers. Gabriel Bortoletto's got a profile there. He's an F1 driver this season. Mika Salo as well. All of the Formula E drivers I speak to, they're always like, oh, how are you finding the active pedals? Because they're absolutely obsessed by them. It's got that competitive streak. There's some discussions about whether actually some of the features of the active pedals are like tantamount to cheating, like the features of ABS and TC, etc. But it's more for that esports crowd, I think. Whereas the hydraulic pedals, it's about realism. I think it's about having fun. Immersion, just going around driving fun cars, just trying to like do some mad things. Oh my God. And have a big smile on your face. And it's pretty incredible that I'm doing this myself, because I was not about this life 2 years ago. Like 100%. Like if I'm not racing real people and trying to beat them, I'm just not interested. But maybe with this sort of equipment, it's just so much fun and so realistic. And I kind of want to get to a position where I can have a little track car like this, and the practice on the sim is going to be much more closer to real life, which is absolutely insane. So let's try and go through turn 1 here, and I'll show you on the hydraulics. So I've got the little overlay on. Now there are some cons I want to tell you. My gear shifting. There are some cons I want to tell you about, which are adjustability and maintenance. And this is what I mean by I don't want people to buy the wrong pedals. There's no wrong people. And what I mean by that is with the active pedals, you can adjust everything in the software. Like I want to have formula style, I want to have different travel, I want to have different position. A few clicks in the software or your preset and it actually changes. And I have the SimuCube active pedals. I use them all the time for Evo. Most of the Assetto Corsa Evo videos on this channel are actually with me with the active pedals. And it's genuinely a game changer. If I'm changing a car, I'm like, oh, you know what, I might just change the pedals like this. And a lot of the time it actually works. Now, these CPP Evo pedals from Conspit do have really good adjustability for traditional pedals. And by the way, you can tell a lot by how much a manufacturer really cares about adjustability, by the quality of the Allen keys they put in the box. And Conspit have absolutely tier 1 Allen key game. They've got the really long ones, the ones with like that you can get in an angle. So they really do care about adjustability. However, if I want to adjust them, I do have to get down there and adjust them. And that's just an advantage with motorized active pedals. The other thing is maintenance. Like, you know, with hydraulic pedals, you have to go and check the fluid and maintain it. And that is a little bit scary, I'm going to be honest. You know, I've used a lot of pedals over the years, and I've greased them and taken them apart and taken out the elastometers and put them in that grease. And that's fine. You know, they start squeaking, I take them out and I grease them. But I'm a little bit scared about having to maintain hydraulic fluid. I mean, I will do it, and I will learn how to do it. But that is, again, from my mindset previously of being like a competitive racer, that's just time not spent racing. But if you're about immersion, actually the feeling of understanding the hydraulics, seeing how it works, and seeing how it's similar to your car in real life is going to be very, very, very addictive. I mean, I could just go around turn one for absolutely ages here using this pedal. But let me tell you some more important things about hydraulic pedals versus active pedals and other pedals. The first bit is sensitivity and pressure. And you can see here by the graph on screen at the moment, you're able to really modulate the pressure like very repeatedly, which is absolutely great. Very important for threshold braking. There's a very high precision sensor in these pedals, similar to like how you get with load cells. And this is like the constant like visualization of what's going through the pedals. You can see that obviously the throttle is easier to press. The brake has more resistance, and that's all tunable. That's tunable in software in terms of min and maxing it, but also you can obviously change actually the pressure and the things with the fluid and whatnot, and that's getting very detailed. And for a lot of people, you're just not going to be interested, but a certain part of you may be interested, but it's something you need to be aware of. You don't want to buy pedals like this if you don't want to have to maintain them a lot. Whereas the active pedals, again, you can just kind of move them. But there's something just about the feeling of the brake and applying the pressure, and particularly coming off the brake. Like, I think these are the best pedals I've ever used coming off the brake. And it's a world apart. It's literally a world apart from using something like the bundled Thrustmaster T598 pedals. Like, I can't explain, like, the Thrustmaster T598 pedals, yeah, you can kind of threshold brake if you're good at remembering your position, but it's very difficult coming off that brake without this kind of like consistent pressure, essentially. And the active pedals are amazing for getting on at a level there. I think the active pedals might even be better at this for getting onto your threshold. Like, you don't spike like you do on elastometers. But these pedals coming off the brake are just absolutely unreal. Like, they are so good. I want to hear from you in the comments. If you've used hydraulic pedals, let me know your pros and cons. If you're thinking about them, let me know as well, because I want to be making a lot more videos on different types of pedals. I'm very lucky to have all these different types of pedals for review. So let me know what you want to see. I hope you found this interesting. Please like and subscribe if you did. Really helps me out. And I will see you next time.